Hey guys, and welcome to my new series called Deep Dives. This is going to be a new series that I do where I look into the trailers and kind of dig deep into see what we're going to be viewing into newer games, especially the ones I'm interested in. Like the very first one, Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West. This segment is going to have major spoilers, so if you have not beaten the first game, I would advise not watching this entire video. But if you are one of those people that are like me, if you don't really care too much, especially if you have interest in playing it, I would advise watching it. Maybe you can learn a thing or two, or we can see where this goes. The first thing we're going to get into is the recap of the very first game. This is going to be mostly recap of other characters other than Aloy. So we're going to go back to Sylens, Hades, and Gaia. So Gaia was Horizon Zero Dawn's main AI that would allow the terraforming system to work after the destruction of life 1,000 years ago because of the machines, the corruptors in the base game. They destroyed and ate everything that gave them biofuel, which destroyed foliage, animals, anything that you could think of, and it destroyed the atmosphere. So Gaia was made so that they could fix this problem that was created beforehand. And she had many different systems, subsystems that would help her. And they were Aether, Apollo, Artemis, Demeter, Eleuthia, Hades, Hephaestus, Minerva, Poseidon, and I think that's all of them. Basically, they had a sub-function that helped Gaia make the world and try and not do the same mistake that we did before. Hades, who was the biggest, was the reversal of every failed terraforming attempt. Hephaestus was manufacturing terraforming machines. Minerva made spires to broadcast Pharaoh Plague deactivation codes so that they wouldn't continue destroying everything that they made. Poseidon was for detox of water. Demeter was reintroduction of floral species. Eleuthia was a reintroduction of human species. Aether was detoxification of the atmosphere. Apollo was an archive of human history, and it was supposed to educate newer generations. So what happened was 1,000 years later after the first attempt, because apparently the first attempt actually worked, so they didn't have to keep doing this, so Hades was never really activated. Someone ended up sending a code to activate Hades, and what happened was Hades wanted to take over Gaia. So what Gaia wanted to do was destroy the link between her and Hades, so she was going to self-destruct. But in a matter of seconds, Hades caught on what was going to happen, and he broke the chains that connected him to Gaia, which in turn broke everybody else's chains to Gaia. So all these AIs ended up splitting off and going other places so that they couldn't be destroyed, and they can continue going on and on. Sylens ended up being the person who found Hades trapped in a big carrier machine, which were called metal devils. They're also normally called titans. They held corruptors and deathbringer machines, which are scarabs and Kopesh. Those ones were the bigger machines that you fought in the base game, the ones that really destroyed and messed up all the other machines. So Sylens wanted knowledge and information, and he knew that Hades would give him because Hades said he was from the old world, and they made a bargain. If Sylens helped Hades rebuild, he would in turn tell Sylens everything that he knows. So doing that, he made the group the Eclipse. The Eclipse is what you fight throughout the whole entire game, if you remember, or if you've never played it. They're the bandit groups, and at that point, he isn't really thinking of like destroying and killing people. He's just wanting information. Sylens is more like a Thanos character. He's doing what he thinks is right, but he's doing the wrong things to accomplish it. After a while, Sylens was becoming wary of Hades. He never really fully trusted him, but he never really put all of his faith into Hades. So he made a backdoor in the focus that he found, and he fixed it because it's a tinkerer, and he loves old technology, so he fixed it. And he made a backdoor communications, which lets him spy on other focuses, so he can have this communication network that no one else knows of, so he can hear everybody. So he heard Hades give the kill order to Sylens, or about Sylens, to the Eclipse, and Sylens ran. And after a while, he overheard Hades saying that there's this Nora Brave who needs to be destroyed, and that caught Sylens' attention. So what he did is he went in search of Aloy to figure out why Hades wants to kill her and stop her, and then that in turn leads him to believe that Aloy is the key to keep unlocking more information. So that's why he teams up with Aloy, so that he can learn more of the past, so he can just continue his own venture. I think that the basis of this game isn't going to be more so the same. It's going to be slightly different, as in Sylens may not be the antagonist that we think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be your main antagonist. I think he's going to be more so of that character who you know and you keep running into, and it seems like he's going to be the bad guy. But I also think like he's doing what he did before. He has completely and always wanted information. He's never wanted really to destroy anything. He just wanted information. So I think in here, as we see in the trailer, with this tribe that he has, he's not actually going to really kill anyone. He's getting a following so that he has someone to help him if he gets in trouble, like he was going with the eclipse. So I don't think he's intentionally going to kill everything, but at the same time, he does have Hades again, because he recaptured Hades at the end of the first game. If you remember, or if you never saw it, he gets him in like this lantern device and takes him back to the Titan that he was in before. So maybe Hades has a new body, so to speak, or he's always traveling with Sylens. But I still don't think Sylens is going to be the main antagonist. I think who's going to be the antagonist is going to be Hephaestus. Hephaestus was the manufacturer of terraforming machines, and at the very end of Frozen Wilds, you end up defeating Hephaestus, but you don't really kill him. You kind of just irritate him, and he stops taking control of this facility called Firebreak, which he was producing fire claws, which were the most deadly machines. So I don't think Sylens is going to be the bad guy, but I think the AI, so I feel like Hephaestus and Hades might team up in this one, and then those would be your antagonists instead. I also think it's going to be Hades because he's destroying the land, but Demeter is the one who has floral species, so I don't know if Hades has taken control of Demeter, or Demeter is going to be the antagonist of this game. Because you can see in the trailer, you can see that red floral plant, that weird looking plant that's going on the beach next to the fox into the vegetation, it's destroying it. So this could be something that Demeter and Hades have cooked up, or maybe Demeter has thought he needs to reel in the population and call them so that humans aren't taking over, but plants and all that aren't getting destroyed either, because that's what happened to Hephaestus. He thought his machines were getting destroyed, so what he did in turn was made them more dangerous so they couldn't be destroyed, which probably Demeter is going to do. Maybe too many trees are getting destroyed, too much flattening of lands to make for tribes. Not sure. We're gonna have to see where that goes, but I'm thinking it's gonna be an AI and not Sylens. I think Sylens might actually help you in this one. So the biggest part that was a big draw for everyone in this was the new machines. The new machines were a few. There was the hog, the warthog, the snapping turtle, the pterosaur, the raptors, which are in the comic books, but are going to be in this game guaranteed because they shared an artwork with it. The crocodiles, which I think are not Snapmaw, and I'll explain that in a little bit. And then the mammoth. They had 5 different machines, and I'm going to try and guess what they did. So now, at this point, I had already thought what they would do, but then what Guerrilla did is they started meeting the new machines on Twitter. So some of mine are right. I'm not going to say they're entirely right, but what I had guessed was pretty damn close to it. And then the other ones, hopefully I'll probably catch on to it. If not, maybe I was close. Who knows? But we're going to go kind of in order. The first one is the snapping turtle. The snapping turtle was called the shell snapper, It is an amphibious machine, so it can be underwater. Now, what I thought was that this is a terraforming machine, because there are different type of acquisition machines. There's terraformers, which fall under Demeter. They are the Strider, Grazer, Rockbreaker, and Trampler, those kind of machines. Then there's Purifiers, which were the only two, which is Poseidon and Aether, which was the Lancehorn and Snapmaw. The Recyclers are Glinthawk and Scrappers, which was for Hephaestus to bring back everything that he needed. Transport machines were the Behemoth, Bellowbacks, and Shellwalkers. They collected cargo, whether it was biofuel or other things. Then there's the Recon, which was Longleg, Watchers, and Red-Eye Watchers. And then Communication, which was the Tallneck. So then the Combat was Ravager, Sawtooth, Stalker, Thunderjaw, Scorcher, Fireclaw, Frostclaw, Stormbird. And then the other machines were the Pharaoh machines, which are the Chariot line, the Corruptor, Deathbringer, Metal Devils. So, looking at all those other machines, I thought that the Snapping Turtle was going to be a terraforming machine because of all the moss and stuff on its back. I don't know how it would have worked, but it looks like it's expanding different types of areas. So this one's kind of swampy, and I feel like it was giving more plants and stuff to move around and just terraforming the area. It also didn't have any standout weapons on its chassis at all. The only one that really stood out was its mouth, the big spikes. That looks something similar to, like, if it would get into the roots of trees that it was like laying under, it could snap them and move them away or try and make room for other things. So that's why I thought it was a terraforming machine. And it can become hostile, but I feel like it won't be as dangerous. I feel like it'd be similar to a Tallneck, only because its eyes do glow red when Aloy's near it. Gorilla said that this shell snapper can dig itself into the ground and lie dormant for days or even weeks, allowing its impenetrable shell to be covered by surrounding foliage, which still feels like it has to do something with terraforming, which I still feel like that's what it's going to do, because if it doesn't, I'm not entirely sure what this machine's function is really going to be. So I'm still going to stick with terraforming, just because the way that it looks and what it does. So the next one was the Warthog. They call it a bristleback. So if you looked at it, its snout looks like a grinder, like how a Scrapper's does, kind of, but it also didn't look anything like a Scrapper. Its body frame still looks more close to Strider, Broadhead, and Charger because of its back. It also has the blaze pipelines going down its back like all those other machines do, so I felt like it was more of a terraformer or a recycler because of the grinders on its snout. I said the blaze canister was on its back, and because you can't really tell what it really looks like, but seeing that it had green fuel lines going on its side, that's why I thought it was a blaze canister. Gorilla said despite its classification as a herd-based acquisition machine, bristlebacks aren't skittish. So they said herd-based acquisition, which goes in line with the Strider, the Broadhead, the Charger, Grazer, those machines. So I think I was pretty close on the money on that one. But they said instead of fleeing, they become highly aggressive, which were more like the Lancehorns. So I would say it's in that category, but I'm going to stick with a terraformer just because of the snout and the blaze canisters on its back. And it's a herd-based, which most herd-based are terraformers. The next one is called Sunwings. They said it was an acquisition class machine. So what I had thought initially was, I didn't think it was based off of a pterodactyl, which most people would probably think it, but it's more of some type of pterosaur. I think more of a pterodon, but I couldn't really pick which dinosaur it looked the most of, because most of these machines that you see, with the exclusion of the bristleback, most of the machines are made from extinct animals, if anybody had ever noticed that. Mostly dinosaurs, but I guess the shell walker too, now that I'm thinking about it. All the other ones were mostly animals that you don't see anywhere. And I thought of that because of the Frozen Wild. So the fire-clawed frost-clawed bears, you never see a bear. Most of the birds that you see, well, the flying machines, mostly like hawks, pterosaurs, and longlegs, they don't look like animals that you see anywhere else. You don't even see deer. So that's why I thought these mostly are extinct animals. But that's what I had thought initially. So I think the pterosaur would be a recon or a comm machine. So I think it would be more so like the tall neck or the long legs. Only because if you look at its wings, they're sun panels. And the only other machine that I saw with a weird thing like that was on a snap maw. And the snap maw have sun panels. I'm not sure if any other ones do, but I know snap maws do. And their wings looked more flowy. They weren't so stiff and chunky. So I didn't think it was made just of metal. I thought it was more sun panel, which I thought would keep it in the sun, or in the sky, all day, so that it could scan everywhere. Because that would be the best place to do it, is to go up through the sky and scan the surroundings, see what's changing, see what's evolving. And at night, these machines would lay down or go somewhere to rest and stay dormant or low activity up until daytime, so they can recharge and go into the sky again. I think it's either going to be a shock or a chill water machine, but you can't really see its chest too much, and I don't think that there's a big bulbous chest piece, but there is a center mass that most of the flying machines have that usually have chill water in it. So I think it's going to be more similar to the Glint Hawk in that way. I don't think it's going to be a flame machine. So it's probably going to be very similar to the Glint Hawk, but I think it's going to be reconnaissance. And they said it's an acquisition class machine, which everything that I saw, acquisition was about everything except for combat. Combat was later used by Hephaestus because when he broke free, he wanted to make his machines live longer, so he put weapons on them, which they never had before. So combat's the newest one. They said they use their photovoltaic wings to store energy. On bright days, they can be seen hovering high on the air and catch much sun as possible. So that pretty much, it confirms what I said. But I'm not sure if it's like a tall neck still. But I'm still going to stick with like a tall neck machine. So it's going to be reconnaissance, it's going to fly around, scan, and then somehow you're going to be able to override it and get that information like you did in the tall neck. The one that they haven't shown yet, which I'm super excited for, is I want to see if I'm right, is the alligator machine. And I don't think it's a snap maw for a few reasons. One, they aren't as big as a snap maw. A snap maw is really thick and its tail is very round, but if you look closely on like the machine itself, it's skinnier. It's a skinnier tail and a skinnier body, which makes me think it's going to be easier to swim through the ocean. So that's why I don't think it's a snap maw. Its head, like its snout, doesn't look the same either. The snap maw has like a really skinny one that flares out at the end, but this one doesn't look like it has that same style, so I don't think they're the same machine. I don't think it's a snap maw. I think it's a brand new machine, not entirely sure what it's called, but it's definitely going to be another purifier just like the snap maw. It's very, very similar to it, but like I said, I think it's skinnier. The tail is definitely shaped differently. If you look at compared images, snap maw, it's a very thick tail, while this one has a more narrow tail. It's very likely a chill water machine, just like the snap maw, just because it uses water. And the other ones that do are the frost bellowback. It uses more water because you can find them more near water areas, and like in the snow or in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, there's a lot of rivers. So I think it's going to be another frost machine, just like the snap maw. So I didn't really look too much at the raptor because I haven't really seen much about it, but it definitely seems a more advanced, dangerous version of the Watcher and Longlegs. It's definitely going to have some type of blaze attack just because of the canisters on its back, But it could be a sparker, it could just be something to run the machine. But it always seems like in that spot on a machine, it's usually blaze. And looking at every other like any other thing that you've seen it on, people are riding them. So I feel like this is going to be another riding class machine. So it's going to act like a watcher. It's just more violent and sneaky. I feel like it might have the stalker cloaking machine. If not, that'd be really interesting to see how that would work. Since people are riding it, it's going to be more like a strider, so once you override it, you're actually going to have a very useful machine to use to defend and run around the areas. I feel like we'd be able to climb with this because it does have has front legs, has front arms. So I feel like this one might let you traverse through the area, because this new land in San Francisco looks like it has way more elevation than the base game did, well, the first game did. The final machine is the Mammoth. Now this one I was like super excited for, but I think I'm wrong now. I thought it was a comms transport machine. Transport like the Behemoth, Bellowbacks. And I thought calm because it seems like a very lumbering machine. It's very slow. But I also thought this machine was a roaming machine because it's so big. I thought it would roam around kind of, but seeing what they said, I feel like I'm wrong on this. Just because it's so massive doesn't mean it's going to be like the tall neck, because there was the Behemoth, which was huge, but it could put up a fight, just also like the Thunderjaw. And I said if it wasn't, it's armed. Most of the machines didn't have that before the derangement, which they called, which, like I said before, Hephaestus gave every machine weapons, so I thought maybe this was an upgraded version of the Mammoth or an elephant machine, and he changed it to be more violent. It does have blaze canisters at the end of its trunk, so it will have blaze and fire moves coming from at least the snout. And it looks like a huge container on its stomach, just for a little bit. You can see like a big circle, but now looking back on it and what they said, it looks more so like what would be on the chest of a Stormbird. It's just a big container of what it used for chill water. So this one might have multi-elemental attacks, but I feel like it's going to be primarily a flame machine. I thought it was either a tank to store some sort of biofuel or maybe a container machine, but that was just because it was so huge. And they call it a Tremor Tusk. It's nigh indestructible armor and an array of hidden weapons. And they said it's part lumbering fortress, and it's a combat machine. So I was off the mark because I didn't think it was a combat class. The combat, like I said, were like the Thunderjaw and Stormbird, which that's why I think the chest is now more of a Stormbird kind of piece. So I think the tusks are going to be some type of diggers or some type of defensive, because they do have like bent arms to hold them. So I feel like those are going to be some type of little bit more ranged attack. It might have chill water in its chest somewhere, but other than that, I'm not sure what kind of hidden weapons it's really going to have. So I was definitely wrong on on at least the Mammoth. So I felt like I did a pretty decent job on doing that and guessing which one was which. Okay, so that is what I have gotten from this kind of deep dive. The only thing I'm going to say is about Aloy's character design. I feel like it's definitely going to change some way. I don't think she's going to have the same outfit that she had in the first game, what they show here. And that's because a few things, like other games that I've seen, Kingdom Hearts 3, you saw him in his Kingdom Hearts 2 outfit, but he had it at the very beginning and then swapped it a little bit in. So I think that's going to do the same here. Some of the weapons might break, or she might not take them with her, and she might meet up with this new tribe that might show her new weapons and things to use. So I feel like this new tribe's going to give her that breathing apparatus that she had going into the ocean, because I think there's going to be a lot more underwater dungeons and cauldrons, if not cauldrons, definitely dungeon-esque things to explore. So this one's definitely going to have a lot more water exploration in it, just because they had such a huge emphasis on it with like the crabs, the marine life, watching pelicans dive in, watching her dive in. So I feel like there's going to be a lot more stuff to do in the ocean. I also think that the tribe itself that we see wasn't Sylens tribe. I feel like that was a native tribe because they had already planted vegetables and stuff, and it was destroyed by that red plant. So we'll just have to see what they think about that one and if they explain that a little bit better. But thank you guys for stopping out and watching this, because I really hope you enjoyed it. I had fun trying to figure this out myself and just deep diving into it and just exploring, as I really like this game. This game series was now series. The first one was my absolute favorite. I have like everything that I could possibly try to get from it. I have like Collector's Strategy Guide, I have the map, Aloy statue, I have a whole bunch of stuff, and I just absolutely love this game. This game was definitely my favorite. And I'm in Gorilla. If you want to, hit me up. You know, you could put me in a game or something, or, you know, just like give me some free stuff. I'll partner with you. Streaming all day long. Hell yeah. Hit me up, boys. But thanks, guys. And we'll definitely continue doing this if this gets enough traction. And I'd like to see what else we can do with this. And I hope you guys have a good day.
Oh! Oh boy! I don't think I have a head to taste it with anymore there, guys. Fucking bitch slapped. Good Lord.